1580.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
You can run the streets with your thugs.
Honestly,
I
think I can go for them all.
You get through.
See, I don't like them all that go for y'all on me. All up under
You
me.
can run the streets
Telling
with
me
your thugs.
where I can go.
I'll
Can
be
she go with
waiting
me?
for you.
When I'm coming home and all that
Until
other crazy
you
shit.
through.
Type of life I live.
I'll be waiting.
Now people, here go the secret on how to keep it player. Some love making and home cooking, I'll see you later. It don't take a lot to keep it hard. Must be a lady in the light, but real freaky in the dark. Plus I got some enemies, baby, hold my pistol and wrap your arms around the neck. And every time I kiss you, can you visualize the picture me and you in ecstasy? Don't be upset, it's good sex when you next to me. Do you wanna test me? Put your tired head on my chest. A thug sick in the house, now you can rest. I bet you never screamed the whole name out and felt the pleasure and the pain about the very taste out your mouth. You can call me.
Welcome in. Happy Monday. You were locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. And it is June 16th. And if you didn't know, shame on you. But I'm here to inform. June 16th, it's almost like a national holiday in some parts, especially here. Happy birthday, what would be his 54th birthday, to Tupac Amaru Shakur. You miss him. Thank you for playing a deep cut. Shout out to that. You know, I don't know if y'all was ready for that one. We could also hit you off with a little Richie Rich. You know, Pocket Richie Rich from All Eyes on Me. That's a Bay Area staple, early 90s. I'd rather be your player. You know.
You know that song was like my anthem for some years.
Mine too.
I mean, like, you're hilarious. That's how you feel, Jill?
I'm just kidding. This is my joy, though. This is my song. I'm just saying. Shout out to Pac. Like, All Eyes on Me had so many bangers. One of the first hip hop. Was it the first? It might have been the first double album in hip hop. It was the first. And then everybody thought that they could do it, and they soon discovered that all those filler tracks, they're not banging like Pac. They hadn't fine-tuned their pen. And although, you know, Pac's lyrical prowess is a contention point for some, the vibes that he gave you, the depth that he gave you, the way he made you feel, Pac wasn't just for rocking a party. He touched your soul with his words. And no matter how simplistic they might be to some, not everybody can do that, even the lyrical miracles. So, you know, happy birthday, Pac. Shout out to him. Still relevant. Wow. Almost 30 years after his passing. It has almost been 30 years. Next year is 30 years. You know, that's crazy. So to have that type of relevance. Royal Jenkins in the chat, because, you know, the chat's already getting started, shouting out California love. Can I tell you guys a secret? An unpopular opinion. I don't want to hear California love anymore. I do not.
I remember you mentioning that.
Yeah.
Statement.
And it's not because I don't like the song or I don't think it's fire. The videos, both versions were fire to me. I loved them when they first came out. But after 30 years of hearing California love for anything remotely connected to the West Coast, California, LA life, anything like that, it can rest. That's all.
You know, Not Like Us is probably going to get to that point, too.
It is. It absolutely is. And I love that song too. But Not Like Us is a national anthem at this point. You know, look, Andy's always on theme and he doesn't even know it. Speaking of, because we have conversation starters, by the way, we're going to get into the Bravo deets tonight, why the Housewives might be on their way out. Drama at the Diddy trial with one of the jurors being dismissed, and Kirk Franklin being honest, saying prayer alone ain't gonna do it. So I mentioned, Andy mentioned Not Like Us, and we know Kendrick's concert took place, he and SZA, in the weekend in Toronto. And there was a Canadian politician in attendance. I might jack up his name, not purposely, said with love. Jameet Singh, I believe that might be his name. At any rate, he went to the concert, and he and Drake apparently had some type of relationship. So Drake went online and called him a goofy. Well, the politician responded and apologized. He said, I went for SZA, not Kendrick. I was born in this city. I love this city. But real talk, I get it. I shouldn't have gone at all. OVO and Drake have lifted up this city and Canada. For me, it'll always be Drake over Kendrick and the peace sign. Andy?
Drake got to be mad at his own city then.
Beyond that, first of all, that's a ChatGPT generated response. Let's start there. I know, the cadence. That's definitely a ChatGPT response. But beyond that, you're not allowed to go to a concert wherever you want to, where you pay your own free money as a citizen. You, as a public politician, has to pay some type of homage or loyalty to Drake. I mean, tons of your fans, Drake, were in the building singing out A minor. You know what I'm saying? So what you gonna do, not perform at home anymore? I don't know. Doesn't seem like a logical stance. But he took it public, and obviously he has some type of influence with this official because, like I said, he walked that back. Which I don't know if that's smart to do. I don't know how their government runs and what his official capacity is, but that seems crazy to me. A little bit. You know? This is not a human rights issue. This is hip-hop beef.
100%. I agree. I think when anybody engaging in any form of rap beef, I think that you have to understand that for some people, you know, it's their fandom, right? They're enjoying the music. They don't have any true loyalty towards you as a person. I mean, it might be there, but I mean, like, I just want to enjoy the music.
It's entertainment.
It's entertainment. So I just think that for somebody like Drake, and you know, this is probably his first L, right, in a rap game for the most part.
Yeah.
Right? And it just seems like he's just unraveling over everything. And I just think that there are some people out here who just, you know, yeah, they all went to Kendrick's concert, but you know what? Let you have a concert. Them same individuals are going to go there and support you. So you just got to understand that there's some people that might not rock with you in that particular beef per se. You feel me? Or they might like, you know, the person that you're going against more than your songs per se, but that doesn't mean that they don't like you as a person or as an artist. But I get it. It's a little touchy when you know, calling people PDFs and stuff like that. I get it.
The game is the game is the game. When we come forward, we're going to get into these details about what could be the demise of the Real Housewives franchise. All of that and more on the other side. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
West Coast. That's right.
Your ride with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on! On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There'll be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Skip the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
We love you. Love you.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent, and the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
No warrant, no key. My privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Thy ticket, Lady Jennifer of Coolidge.
Well, many thanks, good sir. Here'th my Discover card.
They accept Discover at Renaissance fairs?
Yeah, they do here. Discover's accepted at the places I love to shop. Getteth with the times.
With the times? You're playing the lute.
Yeah, and it sounds pretty good, right?
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Now back to more entertainment news with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. If you want to get in on this conversation, 800-920-1580. Of course, hit us up on social media, KBLA 1580. I'm at Stiletto Jill, absolutely everywhere. And download the app. Join us in the YouTube chat because they are always popping off in there. There's already conversation going. And what else? You know, we're celebrating our 4th anniversary this week. So if you haven't already, head over to KBLA1580.com and register for one of the 4 events that we are having throughout the next few days. Show up, say hi, see your favorite KBLA personalities, and meet the people behind the scenes as well. Come and, introduce yourselves, participate. We're down for you. Come be down with us. All right, really quickly, because I didn't tell you everything that we're discussing tonight, in addition to what could be potentially happening with Bravo's Real Housewives franchise. We're also getting into Cam Newton saying he didn't mean to have multiple baby mamas. It just kind of worked out that way. We'll get into the conversation and why I think it was a conversation with K. Michelle on his podcast. It's not one that we haven't heard from Cam before. I should clarify that. However, the way that K. Michelle got him to open up, I think is important. I think that in some of these conversations, we have to recognize when it appears as if people are trying to get a social media moment more than connecting with an individual and really understanding their why. And so we're going to tap into that a little bit while we listen to their conversation. And we're going to get into one of the jurors in the Diddy trial, a black man, being dismissed. And Diddy's side is claiming that there's a little bit of bias. So we'll get into those details. And Kirk Franklin is reminding you all that prayer without therapy might just be good vibes. So we'll talk about all of that. But first up, like I said, there's a lot happening with the Bravo channel network right now involving the Real Housewives franchise. So It might even be too hot for one of Bravo's confessionals on the Housewives. But what is actually happening is we talked about last week that Brit Eady, a newcomer of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, is suing NBC Universal, Bravo, and the associated production companies for $20 million, claiming defamation, sexual harassment, and emotional distress behind what was alleged was an inappropriate photo of her potentially unclothed shown by Kenya Moore at the opening of her hair spa event, right? The bombshell, the photo allegedly wasn't actually Brit. And she is claiming that the network knew she wasn't the woman in the explicit images shown by Kenya, and they continued to promote the false implication in order to add some spice and sizzle to the show. She skipped the season 16 reunion and then dropped the legal hammer, right? Brit claims she was forced to film after a gendered attack and labeled the environment as hostile, right? So NBC has faced NBC Universal, I should say, a lot of legal fire from the lawsuit that Nene Leakes filed a few years back. Bethany Frankel filed one claiming that, the pay and work schedule for it was unfair, and she was trying to pull together a campaign for a reality TV union. And Leah McSweeney had a lawsuit that named Andy Cohen in it. But all of these things and this final one might be the death knell for the franchise. So an insider revealed to gossip vet Rob Shooter that all of the chaos that is coming from the Housewives, all of the things that made the Housewives show great, is now a liability, really, because it's just lawsuits after lawsuit. And, the champagne might have gone flat in the situation, right? So word on the curb is Bravo might be finally tired of the extended drama. They have a couple of other franchises that seem to be bubbling up and taking hold, and they might be willing to let this particular franchise go. Don't forget, we've seen several of the cast members end up in jail or prison for things that might have been associated with their time on the show. So there's a lot that is happening with it that makes it potentially a legal liability. And we'll have to see what happens. Plus, just the general sentiment that, at least in this format, I don't know, maybe if it's the cast, but the idea of certain docuseries, I guess we should call them now, are kind of losing their steam with audiences, and they aren't as enthralled the same way that they once were. They kind of know the formula now, so the setups aren't giving what they used to, and no one has found the new lightning in a bottle save Zeus Network, but I don't think you want to see that all the time. Maybe some do, but it is an interesting prospect. So if you guys have any comments on that, on what Bravo should do about the Real Housewives franchise, should they let it go? Is there enough reboots for all of them, or has potentially basically the formula to succeed on it also served as a hindrance because people are playing different games and utilizing different positioning, maybe according to some, to separate themselves, avoid the embarrassment of not getting their peach, diamond, apple, whatever back. It's just kind of interesting as we see this play out, not just with this reality TV franchise, but several others as well. So we'll have to see what develops with that. Now, I mentioned Cam Newton and K. Michelle. He had K. Michelle on his Funky Fridays podcast. And we know Cam is discussed a lot when it comes to fatherhood. He and Nick Cannon are brethren in that, with several. Cam has less children's mothers, but he does have more than a few, right? And in this conversation with K. Michelle, right, she gave us an opportunity to view Cam's insights from a different perspective. Partially because I believe she was and I don't want to say gentle in a way that denotes, she wasn't being direct. But I think that she was choosing her words carefully so that he wouldn't respond in defensive mode and really feel maybe comfortable, I'll say, to open up and to go into some of those areas we may not have heard of with others. Like, for example, we all know the viral conversation he had with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, which, not that she was wrong in what she clocked, but the approach may have been a little off-putting if you wanted to have a real, what did you say, Andy? Andy felt it was a tad judgmental. Potentially, but I think that you may get the same point across and even take the same small jabs, but utilizing different types of language can lead you into something else. Now, I'll tell you, this conversation is a bit lengthy, but I think it's important to pay attention to how K. Michelle is speaking to him, the questions that she asks, and how this conversation really unrolls. Because she not only gets his POV, but also steps in and gives him some clarity for his current partner, who is now pregnant with their second child. And as mentioned before, she's a public figure. Watch Jazzy is her Instagram name, Jasmine Brown. And, some of the things that he has said in public have been kind of embarrassing. If that was your mate, if that was your boyfriend, you might not feel comfortable with the way in which he expressed himself about certain thoughts and feelings, knowing that he has a pregnant mate at home. But we'll get into all of that. Take a listen to what he had to say, or their conversation.
My children do deserve a 2-parent household. The reality is that's just not how it worked out. Now, the guilt in me feels that...
You have a guilt?
No. When you hear it, there can be a guilt that happens. It's like you create broken homes. I can't do nothing about that now. But what I can do is try to make my wrongs right. Mm-hmm. I do that by showing up constantly. I have certain things that I do with children, my children specifically, that's our thing.
But what about now in having new kids and creating, is that a goal of yours? And you don't have to answer to anybody.
No, ask the question that you're asking.
You want me to ask you a real question?
Please. Go there.
Okay. Well, having the situation and relationship that you're in now, I did see that your significant other now is having
another one.
Mm-hmm. Is your goal to create? I think everyone would like to know, is your goal right now to create a 2-parent home for your child that you already have and your new child? Is that the goal? Because you do skate around that. From everything that I've watched, you do kind of skate around that. Is the goal? What is the ultimate goal right now in your dating and having kids?
Every situation that I've ever been in, I thought this was the last one.
Okay.
The goal has never been to have multiple significant others.
Okay.
It just worked out like that. So when I say my wrongs to the world or to the stereotype of what a household should be, it has always been screwed up.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What do you think a household should be?
I think there should be a male presence and a female presence in each household, because there are certain things that a man or a female should only or can learn specifically from a man.
Yeah.
And then there are certain things that can only be taught from a female.
Okay.
So that's what I do believe in. I do believe there should always be a 2-figure household.
Can I ask you something you might get mad at me about?
Man, you can't make me mad. I'm bulletproof.
Being that you're living your life and you are who you are, you have your significant other who is who she is. Do you ever at night or when you're alone or in a space ever feel like your speaking and things are hurting her.
Yes. Yes.
How do you feel? Like, what does that do to you?
It took her to tell me that. I didn't know. Because you got to understand, too, that people have to give other people grace because those aren't prerequisites of understanding for most men. And I always say this about men. Men don't register things the same way females do. Meaning, I don't know how that make you feel. I know. If you ask me a question, would you hit? Yeah, I hit. But you standing next to your woman.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like, would you hit?
Do you see, like, I don't even get into that, but the attack that your significant other gets, I feel is very unfair.
And it's in large part self-inflicted.
What you mean?
Meaning inside the household, I bring these attacks to her. She used the words, not me. She said, baby, I feel like a piñata.
They've liked her before y'all have become a couple.
For sure.
And some things that she has said, you know, might have offended women in other ways, like, you know, and now they're like, oh, so now you're in this situation that you made fun about.
Right.
So when we come forward, we're going to play you the rest of the clip and get into that because there's a lot there. She asked him a lot of real questions. I find it interesting the fact that he doesn't understand how his responses to some of those questions about creating two-parent households previously, and if he was with the person he could envision himself being married to yet, or if he had found that person yet, would not be offensive to the woman that he is currently with. I question how he lacks that much awareness, but we'll get into all of that and more on the other side. You're locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
For short examples how I do it, thinking I'm new to this because I'm younger. Will only leave you suspicious and a wonder, and at the end I make a come up. Again was raised up off MOB, fatty over something that's telling me don't run the streets. So tell me, am I wrong for trying to communicate through a song? I'm up early in the morning, by sunrise I'll be gone. All my homies is waiting for me, plotting on plans that we made and all the fun that it's gonna be. So meet me at 3 and don't be late. We hanging out all night while drinking straight liquor.
You're in the know with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is pushing for more ICE raids in Democratic-led cities like New York and Los Angeles. Black New York City Mayor Eric Adams says the city will only cooperate on criminal cases.
We are not going to collaborate with civil enforcement, and we're going to encourage people to not live in fear and go on with their lives.
Trump says he'll use every resource possible for mass deportations. A black juror has been dismissed from Sean Diddy Combs' sex trafficking trial after giving conflicting info about his residency. He's been replaced by a white alternate despite defense objections over diversity. Meanwhile, another juror may have leaked information. And people nationwide are celebrating Juneteenth this week. The holiday, observed on June 19th, marks the day in 1865 when enslaved African Americans in Texas finally learned they were free 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
A crash in Riverside. This is on the 91 eastbound at Pierce Street. The two middle lanes are blocked and delays are backing up away from Main Street out of Corona. The 15 southbound also slowing in Corona from Magnolia Avenue. Looking a lot better once you make your way past Wyrick Road. We're also heading out to Orange County on the 405 northbound in Irvine. Delays from the 133 freeway. Pretty heavy and slow all the way to Beach Boulevard. Santa Monica 10 eastbound loading up at Cloverfield. Delays all the way to San Pedro Street.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice. Continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
I'm a bad man.
Although TV ratings for the NBA Finals are down 20% from last year, the pregame and postgame shows on ABC helped the NBA reach an impressive number after the first two games. With the pregame and postgame shows, ABC attracted a total of 25.6 million viewers for games 1 and 2 between the Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers. The encouraging sign for ABC and the NBA is that people are tuning in before the games and staying around for the postgame coverage. The NBA is anxious to see what the combined ratings are after Game 5 tonight. OKC and Indiana are tied at 2-2. The Angels pitching staff has a tough assignment the next 4 days against the Yankees in New York. Yankees center fielder Aaron Judge leads the American League with a .378 batting average, 26 homers, and 99 hits. Judge is second in the AL with 60 RBIs. Good luck. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
The revolution will not be televised.
What's up? It is Killer Mike, also known as Michael Render, and I'm encouraging you to listen to more, not less, of Truth Time with Dr. Cornel West and Senator Nina Turner on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's never too early to start talking about money in realistic ways with your kids. JP Morgan Chase navigates how to educate your kids now about creating long-lasting, healthy money habits. Whether your kids are in elementary school, high school, or college, now is a great time to start a conversation about ways to create healthy money habits as they grow, ultimately benefiting their financial future. Talking about money in a realistic way to support your kids' lifestyle and dreams, your first banking account geared towards high school or college. It's never too early. Explaining the basics, what you earn and what you spend, building financial confidence starts with getting organized. Learning and practicing vital money skills now will stay with them for life. Tools they will have to stay on top of their finances and achieve their goals. This segment is sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
During this time, it's important for everyone to know your rights. The 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments in the U.S. Constitution protects every one of us, regardless of immigration status. The 4th Amendment requires a judicial warrant to search your home. The 5th protects your right to remain silent, and the 6th gives you the right to an attorney. Just remember,
no warrant, no key, privacy. You don't have to speak. No lawyer inside. Don't say a thing. Yeah, we all got rights.
Hey, we all got rights.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Brothers and sisters, I want to welcome you back to life. Back to the one that can make your next chapter your best chapter. Hallelujah.
How can it be that you love the most unlovable part of me? How could you see your life was the only gift I'll ever need to be free? It's amazing with you. I win even if I lose. Everything's working for my good for always.
Come
Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. We're going to be talking about that man in a bit. Kirk Franklin. I know some are tired of seeing Kirk as one of the representatives out there of the gospel community, but I think part of the beauty, part of the magic in him is that he is able to effectively speak to those that are not necessarily all the way locked in the same way in their walk with Christ as others are. He's able to relate real feelings, the real conflicts that some see who aren't all the way, they might believe in God, but they might not rock wholeheartedly with the religious aspect of it and might be seeking, the word of God, the comfort of God, the fellowship of it, but maybe not in some of the restrictive ways that can be presented by sometimes when we're talking religion. Not saying that there isn't a proper path, a proper format, but once again, as a reminder, Jesus was out in the streets with the prostitutes, the pimps, the hustlers, and the, thievery. So sometimes you got to meet people where they're at. That's all I'm saying about that. But we'll get into that more in a second. Let's wrap up this K. Michelle and Cam Newton conversation, because I also think it's important that, we put a lot off on men with means, and sure, men with means get away with more. But, there's, regular Joes in the same situation with multiple kids by multiple women. And you do wonder why at times it's so easy for these men to create these broken homes. Not that the women aren't either. I know what you're going to say. I already saw you reach. Oh, that's not what you're going to say? Okay. But, to move on, walk away, start over fresh, and not have a clear viewpoint of the damage it inflicts. Even if it is a both party situation, in general, it is much easier for the man to pick up and start anew, get a fresh start, than it is for the woman. So, Andy, what were you gonna say?
Man, shout out to the fellas, but it's a matter of just managing one's lust.
Discipline.
What I mean? Discipline. If you're gonna engage, use every strategy to protect yourself or to prevent, if that's the case. But some dudes do not care. They don't care. They're just reckless with it, and this is why you get what you get.
Indeed. So let's finish up K. Michelle and Cam's conversation.
And now all of a sudden you done switched up.
Yeah, you done switched up, but I'm telling you, it's something called being drunk. That
things, and this is why I always tell females, and I'm grateful that we're having this conversation and you're asking me these questions, because even as strong as I am, even as successful and how much money, I still need help. Help meaning you got to tell me, babe. Like, I don't know how this is affecting. No, for sure. And sometimes women lead with, you're supposed to lead. Mm-hmm. And that could be like, hold on, but I still need you to give me insight so I can lead us, right? Mm-hmm. And we have these conversations. That's what I'm saying. I'm an open book.
I didn't know how you were going to be like in a conversation, because I'm going on his show, and one thing, I've made a living off of singing the thoughts and writing the thoughts
in real time
and the true feelings of women. Nowadays, what we're witnessing city girls, we're witnessing this and that, and it's like the genders are doing this.
Clashing.
It is really destroying family. Being a country singer, if you are a singer in country music, you're a man. If you are not married, it is not respected. Family is respected in country music in that space. But in our space, we are singing about side chicks. We are glorifying a lot of women. That's not what happens in Nashville. You can't call a woman a bitch in Nashville, because they'll never even listen to your music, and your professional career will suffer. At what point in the black community do our men create real homes. Just our first time talking. And you said you didn't even mean for that to happen. Life happens. I'm not here to judge life. I'm looking at a successful black man that has the ability to literally turn the narrative on black family, you know? And my grandfather, I watched my uncles and everything. My whole family, they're married. I'm not the girl who didn't see what a man creating a black family is supposed to be. So I'm asking right now, black men, I got to tell my black men to really step up for black women and create families.
Yeah.
It's really not cool. Black men are attacking black women. And it's not cool. They're not creating homes.
So there's a lot there. One, I will say, I am sometimes leery when we ascribe too many glorious traits to others. Country music sings about wayward love, all of those things as well. I understand what she's talking about, the presentation of family, the look of, family men and stuff like that. But let's not, there's heartbreak, there is cheating, there is deceit in all relationships and all genres of music, because that's what you sing about with love. All of those things happen. So starting with that point. But she does make a point about wanting to be open and accepting of there being a lot of single parent homes that come with the black community, but at the same time advocating for family and love and those type of things coming together. K. Michelle is someone who is known for fighting and fussing on Love and Hip Hop, but she came at him very clearly, very balanced. Now some might say because he's a man and she's, but my point is, if we can have open dialogue, if we can listen instead of listening to respond, but listen to really hear, you might get to a more realistic reasoning behind why some of these things are happening and how we can come up with solutions and answers. We're not going to figure out all of the answers in one day or in one conversation, but I think, you learned a little bit more about Cam in this situation. He is having the conversations, but I think he is conflicted about what he believes head of household leading to be, because you can't say in one breath, and it's perfectly fine. Of course, you're supposed to want to get input from your mate, your partner, your significant other, but you can't say when she says, well, I thought you were supposed to lead, and you're like, well, you were supposed to guide me. You either want to be the leader or you don't, and you need to be clear in how you are taking in information and what the leadership role means to you and when. That's what I think. I think he's just figuring it out, and he thought he wanted some things and got caught up in some other things, and blase blah.
I think Cam, his generation, I think we're pretty much the same generation or whatnot.
Because Cam's like 33, 35, somewhere in there.
So millennial, late millennial.
Yeah.
So I think, and I believe that he grew
36. He just turned 36.
So
yeah.
Millennial, right? I believe his father was in his life.
He was. His parents were married, 2-parent home, into the church, things of that nature. Yep.
Okay. So I was going to, provide I don't even want to say an excuse, but, just the whole systemic, thing with the generation before us, the whole crack epidemic.
Yeah, he didn't see that.
He didn't see that at all. I was going to use that as a reason for some black men.
Others.
You know what I mean? Like a lot of the times they didn't have any father figure, so they had to figure life on their own for the most part. That kind of just shuts down what I was going to say.
I mean, because, and that's why I mentioned it. There is, and I think, the reason why we opened our arms to single parent families is because a lot of times, maybe in past generations, those people were excluded. They were shunned because of the situation. We obviously know the financial hardships that can come with that. And so it behooved us as a culture, as a race, to open our arms and put our arms around those people, because it does take a village. But at the same time, I think to some degree, we have lost sight of the benefits of having a family, a fully formed family with, a mom and a dad. I understand that there are other conventional ways that a family is put together, but my point being, where there is a balance, where there is, maybe someone that you can go to that is soft, for one thing, someone that is the disciplinarian, someone to show you how to love and care for each other in a whole situation. So you see that, and that is what I think perhaps we are seeing the lack of. And what started out as an acceptance to open our arms up to people within our community that didn't necessarily have that, I think has turned into something else. Not saying that we represent baby mama culture or any of those things, because again, you do see that in other cultures and races, and there has been an uptick. However, the way that we present it, and it is our nature, we, make lemonade out of old moldy lemons if need be, right? But I think sometimes people mistake our celebration of where we're at in thinking that that is the goal, instead of accepting where we are as we travel along towards what the goal may be. I hope that made sense.
Is it possible that we're experiencing a cultural shift, right? Because I know the emphasis was on, the black men, right, and how we treat our black women. Mm-hmm. But, there were studies about, the youngsters aren't having sex, right? So just the whole relationship dynamic is just completely different with polyamory, coming up. People are trying to denounce monogamy and stuff. I just think we're in a weird space right now, and a lot of us are confused.
I think so. I think we've talked about, and again, this isn't a shun or a judgment. I think that the new rules around consent, I'm not saying that they weren't necessary or that we didn't need to further define or have those conversations, but I think they have been confusing for some, because what was expected or allowed in the past, even, as I'm growing up, is very different from what we look at as being considerate now. Like back in the day, it would be considered romantic for a guy to run up, grab you, and kiss you. Now that's assault. You could go to jail for doing nothing like that. And I think things like that confuse people at times, like it seemed romantic in whatever that movie was where Can't Buy Me Love, maybe the guy stands up with the radio outside of the girl's window. That's stalking right now. Do you know what I'm saying? That is not being determined to show this woman you love her. That is, hey, you're overstepping boundaries. So I think, as you're right, as social construct has changed around what is acceptable, what defines a relationship, how we move forward in these things, there's been this weird adjustment period of people trying to figure it out. And then you throw in social media on top of it. Then you add in the idea of texting. You don't have to speak in order to communicate as much in this current time period.
The last thing I'm going to say is this, too. Ladies, y'all have changed. Men, we have changed, right? Women, y'all the breadwinners in a lot of ways, you know what I'm saying?
And
Hot girl summer, you know what I'm saying? Y'all the breadwinners. You guys are kind of like low-key looking at us like, you might not respect us as much. So I think that also plays a factor in, all the confusion as well, too. Like when we talk about how life used to be, the gender roles, I don't know if gender roles really exist nowadays.
No, they're very different. They're very kind of mashed up. Shout out to Pretty Brown Mimi in the chat. It is Say Anything with John Cusack. That's exactly what I'm thinking of. Talib Udine says, input from your wife is essential. A man is the lead and has a vision, but without the input from your wife, there will be misunderstanding. I agree with that 100%. But if you are not clear, as I suspect Cam is, follow me until he decides, yo, I needed your input. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. I could be wrong, but it seems like he wanted her more to be there to cater to him than to intersect with, how things maybe should go, until he didn't. I hope that makes sense, right? Like, listen to me until not. When we come forward, we'll get more into this. The Diddy trial, Juror being dismissed, and what Kirk Franklin had to say. All that and more on the other side.
Are you ready for the hottest entertainment scoop in Los Angeles? She's bringing you exclusive interviews with today's biggest stars, behind-the-scenes Hollywood insights, and all the entertainment news you need to know. She's breaking down what's trending, what's ending, and what's just beginning in the world of entertainment. You're riding with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
May 6th was World Asthma Day, and it's a critical time to raise awareness about your asthma. Did you know that Black Americans are approximately 5 times more likely than white Americans to visit the emergency department due to their asthma? Managing your asthma is possible with regular checkups, avoiding known triggers, using prescribed medications correctly, and creating an asthma action plan with your healthcare professional. An action plan is a personalized plan you create with your doctor that shows you what to do and what medications to take to help control your asthma when you're having a hard time breathing or having an asthma attack. Stay aware. Have a plan because your health matters. For more tips and resources on managing your asthma, visit luma-edu.com. luma-edu.com. This message is brought to you by Amgen and AstraZeneca.
Catch Prep is now enrolling for summer credit recovery in fall 2025. As South Los Angeles' top-performing high school in English, math, and college access, Catch Prep is welcoming all 9th through 12th graders to enroll now. Catch Prep offers a small, supportive, and safe learning environment to help all students succeed, so that all students feel valued, respected, and motivated to reach their full potential. For the past 20 years, Catch Prep has helped more students of color gain admission to top-tier universities, with our graduating seniors earning a total of $3 million in scholarships, more than any other school in Los Angeles. We are dedicated to helping all students turn your college dreams into reality. Catch Prep is now enrolling. Visit us online at catchhighschool.com or call 323-293-3917. Space is limited. Please enroll now for summer credit recovery and fall 2025. Call 323-293-3917 or enroll today at catchhighschool.com.
You're listening to Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back in. You are locked in with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Now, really quickly, Andy, while we were on break, brought up that he thinks that women sometimes expect that men automatically know what our triggers are, what's bothering us, what is going to make us uncomfortable or set us off. And he feels Cam is saying, just tell me, just explain it to me. And that is probably a very, very, very valid point. But what men also don't understand, what women can't see sometimes, is that we are brought up to nurture. We are brought up to consider everyone in the room, in the situation, and then ourselves. Men aren't conditioned in the same way. So for us, it is second nature to look at something and consider he might not be comfortable right there. She might not be comfortable in that. And we think about those things when we are considering ourselves. And men aren't taught that. So it seems like sometimes we feel like, well, we're always considering you. I'm always thinking of how you feel, how this might impact you. And we get into the situation like, why don't you know me? I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying there are times that we can speak up. And that's why I brought up with K. Michelle the way in which she engaged in the conversation with Cam, because this is the exact same conversation that he had with Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, but his responses and the way that they engage in the conversation and the information that she extracted from him is different because of her approach. So, Andy.
So, it sounded like Dr. Cheyenne Bryant was probably trying to emasculate Cam Newton. That might be extreme word to use.
I think it might have felt like that. I think maybe not so much emasculate
trying to
him.
shun
Maybe
him, humble him.
I'm gonna give her the benefit of the doubt and say maybe she wanted to have a moment, a viral moment. Maybe she wanted to have some type of impact where I am sticking this point and, you know, it will go from there. Don't know that to be a fact, but that's what it is. Listen, we'll get into the Kirk Franklin story tomorrow. As far as the Diddy trial, juror number 6 was dismissed, Black and Latino man, because they said he was being shifty about where he lived. At one point, he lived in the Bronx, but he claimed that he and his fiance recently moved to New Jersey, and the prosecution felt he wasn't being upfront about that, so he was dismissed. The defense, Diddy's lawyers, are saying that there's a racial bias because some believe that this particular juror was very much, in fact, going to be someone that would have been on Diddy's side. He seemed to be nodding in agreement at certain points of the trial that seemed favorable to Diddy. And so, in addition to the fact that he is black and being replaced by a white man, the defense is worried that there is a racial bias attached to it. There is also concern that another juror might be chatting it up outside because of a text message this juror received asking them if they were juror number 6. So a lot going on there. Lots of little seeds being planted for a potential mistrial or something to come up with that. But we'll have to see. Listen, when you come forward, the voice of reason, Zoe Williams, is going to be on deck. Make sure you are locked in with him because you know he comes with the bangers, that hardcore truth that you need to hear. And ladies, make sure you are on point tomorrow. I have something to give away. So I'm giving you advance warning. Make sure that you are on point because I got something good for you guys tomorrow. All right, thanks for locking in each and every day, Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. I'll tap in with you tomorrow.
Look at my dad. Look at my dad. Look at my dad. Look at my dad. Get in there, get in there. 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 Look at my dad. Look at my dad. Everybody saying dab. Trap goes on the mouth. Trap goes like the dab. Trap goes in the bowl. Trap goes on the stove. Trap goes worldwide. Play with the power, no eyes. Dabbing going in the dictionary. Birds singing just like Mary Mary. The got wing like a tooth fairy. Pinky ring yellow canary. Touchdown on the pack and I run it like Barry. Me go like Eddie and Eddie. You mad about your boy that's petty. Spray the chopper like confetti. Look at my dab. Got me feeling like I'm foul. Look at my dab. Spreading dab across the map. I'm dabbing when I walk up in the trap. I look at the pot, I'm like, get in there. I play with the water, need swim well. Look at my dab. Get in there. Look at my dab. Look at my dab. Look at my dab. Look at my dab.